Right, good evening to you. Thank you so much for making time for the program tonight. My name is Brian Amwai. Now, this being a Sunday, we have our Sunday segment, The Big Number. What are we focusing on today? We are looking at the burden of cancer in the country, today being World Cancer Survivors Day. Now we have the details of that and much more on the program tonight. Engage us on our socials at Amwai Brian on Twitter, at Lookuptv. The hashtag we are using is LookupWeekend. We are also live on Facebook and on YouTube, where you can send your feedback and I'll be able to sample some of it as we continue with the program tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Veronica Award. These are the top stories tonight.
I am waiting for the members of parliament who will go and vote against the plan.
Tonight on Lookup Weekend, Ruto insists no turning back on the controversial 3% housing levy.
Those of you who are hiding behind the Holy Scriptures, your days are numbered.
Also tonight, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has vowed to fight rogue preachers duping followers. And cancer patients root for 100% treatment using NHIF cover as Kenya marks World Survivors Day.
All right, now let's start the program tonight. President William Ruto has rallied the Kenya Kwanza MPs behind the 2023 finance bill and the housing levy. Now speaking in Narok County during a church service, Ruto sounded a warning to MPs, cautioning them against rejecting the bill, which he termed a game changer to many Kenyans. The bill is expected to be tabled in the National Assembly upon resumption of sittings this month. Shadwa Kareria now reports.
A motion has been allocated a number of time. The mover, who is the deputy,
has clock kicks faster towards the 15th of this month, when the finance bill will be tabled before the floors of the National Assembly for hearing. Political temperatures have continued to build up among the members of parliament as both the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio coalition piled pressure on their MPs to move by the decision of the respective coalition. President William Ruto, while at a Thanksgiving service in Narok County, rallied the Kenya Kwanza MPs in support of the finance bill, warning them against rejecting the bill.
Nimesikia ya kwamba kuna watu wanasema ati siku ya finance bill kila mjumbe ajulikane amefanya kazi gani ama amepiga kura upande gani. Mimi nakubaliana ya kwamba kila mjumbe ajulikane amepiga kura wapi. Mimi nangojea mbunge mwenye anaenda kupiga kura ati kupinga mpango ya serikali kuwapatia hawa vijana ambao waliwapigia kura ati ajira. Mimi nangojea wale wabunge watakuwa ukule bunge ni tuwaone kwa macho kwamba wao wanapinga ati ajira ya hawa vijana ambao waliwapigia kura.
Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua defended the controversial housing levy, accusing the Azimio politicians of misleading Kenyans.
So, mimi nataka niwaulize kwa unyenyekevu ya kwamba this is a defining moment in the Republic of Kenya.
Nyinyi kama mbunge wetu wanasema watu wasilipe kodi, asilize barabara kwa sababu inatoka wapi. Wengine wenye kuchochea ni watu marafiki yao wa gazeti. Use your excellency on headline.
Na vile tunafungua bunge siku ya Jumanne, wengi wanauliza wewe mbunge simama kati ya wananchi ama kati ya serikali. Serikali ni ya wananchi.
Unaambiwa utoe 300 na ule amekuajiri atoe 300, alafu pesa uwekewe mahali izae riba. Ukitaka nyumba utapata nyumba, utaki nyumba utakuja kuchukua hiyo pesa.
This comes amidst protest threats from the Azimio politicians, such as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has hinted the return of the anti-government protest, Kalonzo stating that the coalition will declare its next course of action soon. Rigathi Gachagua warned that the government may be unable to fund its project should the MPs reject the bill. Shadwa Kareria, Lookup TV.
Now the country is staring at a health crisis after a section of private hospitals across the country unanimously agreed to suspend payments through the National Hospital Insurance Fund and insisted on cash payment. And as Ian Keitani now reports, this comes after the lapse of a 60-day period given to the government by the hospitals to solve this stalemate.
At least 80% of Kenyans who depend on the National Hospital Insurance Fund could soon fail to get medical attention in private hospitals across the country due to the ongoing tussle between private hospitals and the NHIF board. The Rural Private Hospitals Association of Kenya has instructed all private hospitals under the association not to admit patients using the NHIF cover unless they are willing to make their payments in cash.
NHIF tunalipa kila mwezi. Tutafanya aje sasa? Sisi watu wasiojiweza tutafanya namna gani? Sisi wala hatuna namna. Tumefanya kazi, tumelitaya, tuko nyumbani na tunaendelea kulipa NHIF. Na sasa ati hatuwezi tibiwa kwa private. Kwani private ikipotea, tutatoa pesa wapi tuende kutibiwa? Serikali, Ruto, tusaidie tafadhali.
With the insurance fund owing hospitals at least 20 billion in payments, the manager at Hosome's Nursing Home, a private facility in Nyamira, blamed the NHIF board for failing to remit the funds, a move that he says hindered operations within various private facilities.
These companies, these payers, they affect our operations in a great extent because we treat their patients, they pay us later. But we are facing a serious challenge when it comes to payment, and this has grounded most of our operations. And if you don't get the monies that you have spent for patients, even getting quality service, offering quality service to this patient becomes a challenge because essentially there is no money to run the hospital. There is no money to pay salaries, so you'll find out you have demotivated staff. You find you have no money to pay your suppliers, so you find some drugs cannot be supplied.
Abuga was critical that despite employers remitting employee contributions, the fund had failed on its part in replicating the same.
Employers are remitting this money, people are contributing, but the way the fund is being run personally, I say there is a problem which needs to be addressed. So I'm appealing to the government. If sincerely speaking, the government is caring about the welfare of the citizens, healthcare is a number one priority. Because if the government can take time and work on these essential services to ensure that all hospitals who are contracted by NHIF, they are paid in good time, we'll have a very healthy country.
As the tussle between private hospitals and NHIF continues, patients are set to pay the price due to lack of remittance, as many of them lack funds to privately finance their medication.
Kama vile tulikuwa tunalikuja kitambo tunalipiwa NHIF na tulipia pesa. Sasa hatujui ni nini imetokea saa hii. Tumepona tuko hospitali, NHIF tunangojea message. Hii pesa tunalipa kila mwezi. Inaenda wapi? Kama mimi nimelipa paka 2024 December. Hiyo pesa yote NHIF inaweka itaki kutulipia tutoka hospitali. Sasa Ruto, tusaidie.
However, acting NHIF CEO Samson Kuhora has taken a swipe at the association, citing a violation of the contractual provisions on the part of the hospitals, insisting that eventually the funds will be remitted. Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has yet again reiterated his commitment to flushing out rogue religious leaders. This comes as the government is actively investigating the Shakahola massacre that has shaken the country, with the third phase of the searching for the dead bodies expected to start this week. Samia Dika with more details.
Attending a church service at the Kenya Assemblies of God in Sagana, Kirinyaga County, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has sent a tough warning to misleading preachers, noting that they will be treated as terrorists.
Those of you who are hiding behind the Holy Scriptures to cause us harm in our country, to kill people, to torture them, to rob them their property, your days are numbered. We will treat you the same way we are treating armed bandits in Rift Valley and the other Islamic terrorists who are coming from our neighboring country to hurt our people.
As Kenyans continue awaiting on the Shakahola unfoldings, the tough-talking CS now says he will be leading a third round of searching for bodies of Paul Mackenzie's followers, as the number of those dead stand at 242.
Wakati tulikuwa tunafunga awamu ya pili, tulikuwa tumeona makaburi ya halaiki 10, lakini tumeona makaburi ingine ya halaiki zaidi ya hiyo 10. At the moment, we are looking at about 22 mass graves.
Kindiki has however assured Kenyans that the government is set to ensure that the country stays safe despite political differences.
Anybody who tries to use violence to get political, social, economic outcomes, that person, we will deal with them with finality and ruthlessness never seen in this country before.
With CS Kithure Kindiki promising a crackdown on drug preachers, his ministry has yet again barred Pastor Ezekiel Odero of New Life International against holding a crusade in Machakos County, citing that the embattled preacher is under active investigation. A decision that has been termed as unjust by Pastor Ezekiel's legal team.
They issued permits, everything was in progress, and they have now stopped. The next meeting, which is going to happen in Nairobi, we believe Pastor Ezekiel is going to reach his congregants in Nairobi so that he can be able now to reach out to them, even as we fight in court.
As CS Kithure Kindiki is put on test with a crackdown on misleading religious organizations, Kenyans are left waiting to see how far the government will go with this agenda, as only a few, like the coast preacher who enjoys huge following in the country, Ezekiel Odero, remains the only one whose cases are under active investigations. Samia Dika, Lookuptv.
Now, civil society organizations, Transparency International, Kenya Human Rights Commission, and Mzalendo, among others, have come together to oppose the proposed amendments to the Anti-Corruption and Economics Crime Bill 2023, sponsored by Mbeere North MP Geoffrey Kariuki, saying that the amendment poses a significant threat to the progress made in the fight against corruption. Audrey Cherotich now reports.
Speaking during a press briefing in Nairobi, a number of civil society groups have jointly opposed the proposed amendments on the Anti-Corruption and Economics Crimes Bill 2023 that seeks to make changes on 2 instrumental sections.
This bill is opposing a significant threat to the progress made so far in the fight against corruption in this nation.
The civil society organizations say that they are in disbelief following Honorable Thuku's suspicious and sinister motives to propose the repeal of these sections that dictate drastic and gross offences.
I also wish to remind Honorable Ruto that our country loses close to 1/3 of its budget on corruption, with procurement being the biggest avenue for graft. Kenyans can still remember the procurement-related scandals that occurred at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, in which we lost 7 billion Kenya shillings. Then there's been the National Youth Service scandal that amounted to 1.9 billion Kenya shillings in losses, and the recent mosquito nets procurement scandal at KEMSA that has seen Kenyans lose about 3 billion shillings.
The leaders note that despite having a SECA, there have been numerous corruption scandals that have rocked the country, stating that the bill only needs strengthening.
If anything, the laws need to be strengthened and not weakened. In fact, Kenyans should be more worried about the magnitude of the corruption scandals we are likely to face if this law is weakened.
Following Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's remarks that the bill will be passed into law, owing to the fact that Kenya Kwanza has the majority in parliament, the civil society organizations had this much to say.
Passed, whether you like it or not, is a very unfortunate statement in Kenya today. It is disrespectful of the people of Kenya. It is abuse of the office that our deputy president holds. It is going against the sovereignty of the people because our constitution gives us the power.
Audrey Cherotich, Lookuptv.
Away from that, to matters politics, a group of former members of the county assembly and elders from Siaya County have challenged their Senator Oburu Odinga and former Alego Member of Parliament Peter Aringo to iron differences between Governor James Orengo and his deputy William Oduol, who have been at loggerheads over alleged mismanagement of the county government.
Leaders drawn from Siaya County are now calling for a mediation team to help settle the protracted battle between Siaya Governor James Orengo and his deputy William Oduol. West Alego former member of County Assembly Peter Muhula and former Siaya Mayor Aguto Ochiam want Siaya Senator Oburu Odinga and former Alego Member of Parliament Peter Aringo to spearhead talks.
We hope and believe that the Honorable Senator will accept to our request, that we request the Honorable Senator Dr. Oburu Odinga and the former long-time and respected Alego Usonga former MP, Elder, the Honorable Peter Olo Aringo, to possibly intervene in these wrangles. We have a belief they have the powers to reserve capacities and wisdom to bring this conflict to order for the benefit of the Siaya people.
The leaders want the County Assembly to also form a special committee to investigate allegations before tabling an impeachment motion against the Deputy Governor.
We appeal to the committee meetings, which is expected to be on the 6th June of 2023, to accord the Deputy Governor, Dr. William Oduol, a fair hearing and possibly come up with a reconciliatory decision.
Meanwhile, Sufuria Revolution Movement leader Obungu Owich has termed the ongoing wrangles between the two leaders as exasperating to the people of Siaya, claiming William Oduol should relinquish from the seat if he can't work with Governor Orengo.
On that account, you want to tell Honorable Oduol, Siaya is a county led by its representatives. Devolution, Raila Amolo Odinga is the architect of devolution. Baba is the one who brought devolution. It is very embarrassing every now and then to see to it that the people of Siaya are talking about Siaya this, Siaya that, Siaya this, Siaya that every day. Honorable Oduol Denge, you are a co-principal to Orengo. If you don't want to work with Orengo because the chick in the kitchen has gotten hotter, go home.
Innocent Ogaro, Lookuptv.
All right, now thank you so much, Innocent Ogaro, for that particular report. We move to the corridors of justice. Now, lawyers Dunstan Omari and Cliff Ombeta have downplayed charges of fraud facing Anne Amadi, claiming they are politically motivated and are aimed at harming her reputation. Now, they say, Omari, who had requested to be enjoined in the case involving the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, has said he will defend Amadi, and further added that she had surrendered her position at her law firm after her appointment to the judiciary.
The Chief Registrar of the High Court of the Judiciary, Wan Amadi, is under sick. Somebody went to court and filed an application to freeze her personal accounts. Remember, this is the PS, the finance officer of the judiciary. The timing of that application and the mischief in that application started when the CS for Interior said that the judiciary is responsible for the massacre at Shakahola. The judiciary does not investigate anybody. The judiciary has no executive power to arrest. After that, a petition is filed against the Chief Registrar. Following that, a petition has now been filed to the JSC for her removal. Definitely, the executive wants to control the judiciary. This is an attack on the independence of the judiciary. This is political witch hunt. This is profiling.
Right, now if you're Kenyan and you follow closely everything that is happening at the corridors of justice, and just to mention the big cases that happen in this country, you'll be forgiven to think that this country has just maybe 2 lawyers. Well, if you want to know how many lawyers we have, you need to see us going for an election petition. Away from that, we want to take a short break here on Look Up. We don't go too far. I'll be coming back with more stories, including World Cancer Survivors Day, and later on I'll be taking you through the big number, how many people are suffering from cancer in this country as we speak at the moment. Now, the burden of actually treating cancer is also part of the big number tonight. The details of that after this short break.
Hey darling, are we still on for a coffee date?
I'm waiting for you to come and pick me up.
I should be able to pick you in a few.
It's a coffee yogurt date?
It's not just a yogurt, it's royal coffee yogurt.
Flow with the sweet taste of thick and smooth Royal Fresh coffee yogurt. Royal Fresh, the royal taste of freshness.
KM Lookup Media, the holding company for Muthingi and Lookuptv, proudly presents the Mount Kenya Region Roadshow. It's time to mark your calendars because from June 26 to July 1st, 2023, we are bringing the excitement to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Nyeri, Nyandarua, and Nakuru counties. Are you ready to be a part of an electrifying TV roadshow? Join us as we embark on a thrilling journey through the magnificent Mount Kenya region. Lookuptv and Muthingi TV are hitting the road. We are coming straight to your towns. But that's not all. We are not just bringing you TV. We are bringing you an unforgettable experience. Enjoy your favorite comedians like Njoro wa Ukulima ni Mali, Marafiki, among others, live performances, and get a chance to meet your favorite TV personalities right in your own town. To our sponsors and partners, book your slot for the greatest brand experience and conversions. To book this fast-moving opportunity, call 0110-430-158 or email sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Get ready to be swept off your feet as we bring the magic of television to your doorstep. Let the TV adventure begin.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us here on Look Up Weekend. Now listen, this coming week we are going to see a showdown at the National Assembly in regards to the 2023 Finance Bill. What is it about? There's been just so much in regards to that particular bill, with President William Ruto insisting that it must go on and every member of parliament allied to his political party should vote the bill the way it is. Different factions have come out to oppose it and calling on changes on that particular bill. Earlier on, we did sit down with Dedan Chege to make sense of this particular bill and also the court battle that Okiya Omtatah is actually pushing at the moment. Here is that particular interview. All right, now the 2023 Finance Bill has been a subject of debate for the better part of this month and last month. We want to make some sense of it because each political faction is coming out to give their opinion on the same. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says it will go and be passed in Parliament despite the opposition. To help us make sense of this, I'm joined by Wakili Dedan Chege. Thank you so much for your time, Wakili.
Karibu sana.
All right, real quick on this particular subject. Who has the final say on this finance bill debate? We see the president, the deputy president insisting that it will pass as it is despite this huge opposition.
The backstops with the parliament. It has to be passed in parliament, either with amendments or without amendments. But basically the backstops with the parliament.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's come back to the issue of public participation that has been happening. What can we expect as Kenyans from this public participation?
Mostly, as you have just said, the executive has been so vocal in terms of the bill has to go through. So we have seen a lot of public participation going on. We have seen about 1,000 memorandum being presented to the committee, but basically, the constitution requires that we conduct public participation in all our legislative agenda. However, I do not see much going into the public participation. It's just a way of, in my opinion, it's a way of just fulfilling the requirements of the constitution.
Okay. Yes. Now, this particular issue going a little bit political, where we've seen the deputy president insisting that it will pass as it is, and also the president just coming out and calling on the members that are allied to his political faction to go ahead and pass the bill as it is. At the end of the day, despite all this, what was the need for public participation then, if at all nothing is going to be changed?
That's why I've told you, Brian, from the look of things, it was just an exercise to just fulfill the requirement of Article 10 of the Constitution in terms of public participation. Basically, the goose is already cooked. We've seen the deputy president and his troops going around the country and confirming that this bill will have to pass to go through, whether we like it or not.
Okay. Let's come back to one particular issue, because we've seen Senator for Busia, Okiya Omtata, moving to court to actually challenge about 13 issues that he says are very unconstitutional on this finance bill. From someone who has been on the corridors of justice, you yourself, what chance does he have to stop this?
Well, as of right, he has a right to go to approach the High Court on any matter that is unconstitutional, that he deems unconstitutional. He's challenging the process, and he wants the process, the High Court, to stop the process, if I may use that word. Okay. I may not be able to speak in terms of the content, seeing as the matter is already in court. However, if the grounds that he has raised are to go by, then by all means, the court needs to take us back to the drawing board and let's have a bill that does not contravene the constitution.
So that is a possibility?
As long as he cites issues of contravention of the constitution, then basically the court will have to stamp its authority on the same.
Okay.
Yes.
The people that are arguing, why did he not go through the Senate? Why did he not? Why did he have to go to the national to the court directly? He is a member of the Senate, so why did he not wait for this debate to come to the Senate? Maybe if you just shed some light on that, where we have the disparity in terms of that.
Well, as part of his submissions, he has raised the issue of the Senate being left out. These are matters that touch on the county. So most of them basically touch on the county, and he feels that the Senate ought to have been included in this process. However, as per the law, this bill is only a bill of parliament, so it needs to go through the National Assembly. And again, it's his right to go it's everybody's right to go to approach the courts on any issue that they feel is of constitutional importance. Therefore, the issue of him going to the Senate, as much as it's not available, that avenue is not available, even if it was available, does not take away his right to approach the court on any issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, different factions, even non-governmental organizations, the civil societies, have come out and say, if you go ahead and have this passed the way it is, because you're putting our recommendations, these are the things that we want actually addressed. If you go ahead, then we are going to take to the streets. At what point will we see maybe a difference. Is there any chance of seeing a difference on this particular issue despite this huge outcry from the people?
Basically, if going by the mood in the country, and if you look at a majority of those memorandum who are against the bill being passed in its current form, so therefore I believe if the executive should just hold on, there's no harm in holding on and wait until we have at least a consensus on the same. Seeing as this is a bill that mostly affects every aspect of livelihood. So if the citizenry has to go to court, the civil society, to the streets, then maybe they have some pressure, exact pressure on the government. You cannot keep quiet. If you feel your rights are being infringed on, please go ahead and do whatever you can to have the same.
But if you're going to go to the streets, yet the chances of changing anything are very minimal, what's the point then? Because, and I'm quoting somebody, this is the executive actually saying, you see, no matter how much you want to oppose this one is going to go through. And I believe maybe we don't have an answer for that as you wind up on this particular debate. Let me ask you my final questions, and this is in regards to, do we now sit back and say, this has come, it's going to pass, there's nothing totally we can do, even if we fight it, still they will still have their way? That is the government.
You see, democracy dictates that the minority must have its say. However much the government will have its way, it's open to we'll find out in the near future. But as long as there is an issue that needs to be talked about, let's speak about it. Let the voice be heard.
All right. Thank you so much.
The voice of Wanjiku is very important.
All right. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Karibu. Okay.
Right, that was earlier on. We were speaking to Dedan Chege, giving us some insights on that particular bill and just trying to make sense of this contentious bill. Away from that to something else that has been making headlines today. Cancer patients and survivors now want the government to streamline the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, to cover their full medical care services in a bid to lessen the burden they are forced to bear of raising funds to seek treatment abroad, mostly in India. Now, the survivors spoke as they joined the world in marking World Cancer Survivors Day. It is a march of survivors walking the streets, singing songs of praise and appreciating the journey that saw them come out as victors. These are people that have survived cancer in the country. However, they have a cry. The cost of treating it is leaving them destitute. Their call: affordable healthcare. 4th June is a day marked to celebrate survivors for making it to the end of the tunnel of this dreaded disease that has left them broke as they are forced to dip into their pockets to fund for their medical expenses. Speaking as they marked World Cancer Survivors Day at Thiko Level 5 Hospital in Kiambu County, the survivors decried that they are compelled to do harambees to sustain their treatment journey.
The cancer 2011 na ile cancer niko naye inaitwa colon cancer. Tunatumia mabags. Hizi mabags, ile kitu inaumiza sisi ni is very expensive. Na huwezi nunua bag moja ni 1,200. So tunakuwa naomba serikali kama tunaweza simamia sisi watu wa cancer, kama wale wanatumia mabags, at least tupate mabags.
Ile shida kubwa tuko nayo ni kwamba NHIF haitusaidii kabisa katika diagnostics ya cancer. Yes, for now ni mzuri na tunashukuru wanatusaidia na chemotherapy na radiotherapy part. We are requesting, tafadhali, cancer is a very heavy financial burden. Tulipiwe cancer matibabu yote.
This comes amid revelations that Kenyans spend at least 10 billion every year to seek treatment abroad, mostly in India, for cancer and other non-communicable diseases. Currently, the NHIF cancer care package only entails up to 10 chemotherapy sessions, oral and injectable anti-cancer drugs, inpatient and outpatient oncology services, several sessions for radiotherapy, and up to 2 brachytherapy for advanced cancer annually.
The current agenda of the government is looking at primary prevention. Okay? So we are hopeful that as we are putting more efforts towards prevention and early screening, we will be able to reverse so that patients come early and even the cost of care to NHIF is reduced. So the late stage is not really very effective because of the high costs, and that's why we are putting efforts on screening and early diagnosis so that the costs come down, so that even as NHIF, they are able not to be able to sustain the costs.
People have, however, been called upon to embrace early screening for easier management.
We really emphasize on a lot of early screening, because once the disease has been found in early stages, it is not as expensive as it is when you are treating a stage 4 disease.
The government has plans to put up a cancer care center in the country, even as the local governments, through the available hospitals, continue to offer screening and other cancer treatment services.
As a county, we are at the moment in discussion with a partner who is going to help us set up a center of excellence on oncology in Thika Level 5.
So it's none other than Peter Whiter, who is with us here. He can give us a speech.
Is going to put us down.
All right, now away from that, tonight, the spouse of the Deputy President Dorcas Rigathi took the Boy Child campaign to Nandi County, calling for the support of the county government and religious leaders to help dignify the boy child. This and more stories from our county roundup.
Dorcas Rigathi has applauded the efforts taken by the President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua in the fight against illicit abuse. Speaking at the Kobujoi grounds in Aldai constituency, Pastor Dorcas said she will not relent in her quest to dignify the boy child after commissioning the Special Olympics volleyball team from Aldai in Nandi, which will represent Kenya at the Special Olympic World Games.
And I'm saying the boy child must be saved. He must be delivered from where he has fallen. And I know, as I have always said, if you address the plight of the boy child, you have addressed the plight of the girl child. Na nitarudi hapa ndio tuweze kuanza hizo kadanda afya, tutaanza mambo ya rehab. Nitatembea kwa hii inchi mpaka hawa vulana wote warudi katika ile destiny Mungu aliwapatia.
Elsewhere, 20 vulnerable households in Malkadaka village in Isiolo South constituency have benefited from the donation of 20 camel heifers and a 1 camel bull as part of their restocking program being held out courtesy of the Building Drought Resilience in Isiolo County. Residents of the larger northern region have suffered massive losses as a result of recent prolonged drought that claimed lives of thousands of their livestock.
Ningependa kuchukua hii fursa kwanza kushukuru European Union under DRIC project kwa kusaidia hii watu ya Malkadaka. Pia sisi kama county government tutaweka milioni 200 ya kusaidia restocking kwa sababu wananchi wetu wameumia sana.
We are distributing 157 camels to 7 villages. One of them is where we are currently in Malkadaka. In Malkadaka, we are giving 21 camels, and we are also giving goats. We are distributing 100 goats, female goats, which are gala goats, and we are also distributing 20 female camels, camel heifers, the ones that you can see behind me, plus 1 bull.
Finally, leaders from Turkana South led by lawmaker Dr. John Ariko have called on parents to ensure that they have taken their children to school as a way of eradicating poverty. Speaking during parents' meeting in Katilu Boys, the leaders have insisted that it is a constitutional obligation to parents to embrace education of their children.
It is a constitutional right for any parent to take a child to school. Ni lazima katiba ndio inasema hivyo, sio mimi. Nyinyi ndio mlipitisha katiba. It's a constitutional right. It's a basic need. Education is a basic need. And it is the only investment ambayo unaweza patia mtoto wako. It is the only investment ambayo hakuna mtu atawahi rithi kwa maisha yako.
Achi Matumona, Lookuptv.
Right, now thank you Archie for that particular report and the roundup of our news when it comes to Matters County, what was happening in the counties. Now we want to get to our big number segment tonight, where we dive deep into issues affecting our society, trying to make sense of the numbers. All right, now and today we turn our attention to a staggering burden that continues to plague Kenya: the prevalence of cancer. Tonight, we unravel the numbers behind the growing crisis, the stories of those affected, and the initiatives aiming to make a difference in Kenya. Cancer has become an ever-increasing threat, affecting countless lives and putting an immense strain on healthcare resources. Let's take a look at the numbers that reveal the extent of the burden. Now, the International Agency for Research in Cancer, Globocan, report for 2018 estimated 47,887 new cases of cancer annually, with a mortality rate of 32,987. Now, this represents a close to 45% increase in incidence compared to the previous report that estimated 17,000 new cancer cases annually, with an annual mortality rate of 38,500 in 2012. Now, breast, cervix, uteri, esophagus, prostate, and colorectum are the leading types of new cancer cases in both males and females across all ages, with esophageal cancer being the leading cause of cancer death, followed by cervical cancer and then breast cancer. Now, among men, prostate, esophageal and colorectal are the leading cancers in incidence. In women, we have breast, cervical, and esophageal cancers, which are the most common. Now, it is further estimated that there are 3,200 new cancer cases among children below 18 years, with top 5 commonest cancers being leukemia, non-Hodgkin 7 lymphoma, kidney cancer, brain cancer, and cancer of the nasopharynx. Now, it is estimated that up to 40% of cancers can be prevented by avoiding risk factors and implementing existing evidence-based prevention strategies. Now, Kenya continues to grapple with a high burden of risk factors for cancer, as demonstrated by various country-in surveys. Now, an estimated 27.9% of Kenyans are overweight and obese, while 94% do not consume adequate fruits and vegetables. Now, tobacco use among adults is estimated at 13.3%, while alcohol use is at 10.3%. Further, with increasing urbanization and industrialization, there is increasing exposure to environmental pollution, including toxic industrial, agricultural, and electronic wastes. While there is no local data on the burden of genetic factors for cancer, inherited genetics mutation play a major role in about 5 to 10% of all cancer globally. Now, the burden of cancer continues to rise globally, with an estimated 18.1 million new cases and 9.6 million deaths in 2018. Now, about 1 in 6 deaths globally is due to cancer. Now, low and middle-income countries here bear the brunt of the cancer menace, with approximately 70% of cancer-related deaths occurring in these countries. Now, the number of new cases is expected to rise by about 70% over the next 2 decades. However, we are talking about survivors today and celebrating them. So let's take a look at this account of breast cancer survivors and other types of cancer.
After 20 years, cancer ikakuja tena, ilikuja hapo armpit. Tayari wakati huo sikutolewa, I was not done surgery. Nilifanyiwa nilipewa dawa ya chemotherapy na hiyo lamp ikaisha. Saa hii niko na miaka 30, hiyo ya pili iliisha, ya kwanza iliisha na saa hii naendelea na kujiangalia.
Tunaambiwa kwamba kila siku hapa nchini kwetu Kenya wamama 9 wanakufa kila siku kwa sababu ya saratani ya cervix, lakini mimi nilisurvive na kuna wengi pia, na hii siku tunasherehekea siku ya survivorship na tuko hapa kusema kwamba kuna wale ndio walifariki lakini sisi tumeishi, na ningehimiza wamama pia tuweze kwenda kupimwa mapema. Nasema hivyo kwa sababu wakati mimi nilipopimwa sikuwa na dalili yoyote na nikapatikana tayari saratani ilikuwa imefika stage 2.
Now, these stories highlight the devastating impact that cancer has on individuals, families, and communities, and also their success stories. The fight against cancer in Kenya is being addressed through a multifaceted approach. Non-profit organizations, government agencies, and healthcare institutions are working together to raise awareness, improve access to screening, and enhance treatment options. Now, there exists a number of legal and regulatory frameworks that guide the provision of health services in Kenya, particularly cancer prevention and control. Now, health service delivery in Kenya is organized into 4 tiers. Tier 1, which is community health service, where we have Tier 2 is the primary care, where we have dispensaries and health centers. And Tier 3, where we have secondary referral, where this is basically county hospitals. Tier 4 deals with tertiary level, which is the national referral hospitals. Now, primary care for cancer involves activities towards the prevention of cancer, such as risk factor reduction and screening, and health promotion activities, including public awareness, community engagement, and social mobilization. Now, these activities are carried out at all the tiers. Screening is mostly carried out at the tiers 2 and above, while cancer diagnosis and treatment is largely carried out at the secondary referral facilities and at the national referral hospitals. Now, as the burden of cancer continues to grow in Kenya, it is crucial that we come together as a society to address this issue by raising awareness and improving access to healthcare services. We can make significant progress in the fight against cancers. That's all for the. We can make significance in the fight against cancer if we come together to actually deal with this issue. Now, that's all for the big number tonight. Up next, we are taking a look at the sports news. Let's get sporty tonight. 2010 Kenya Premier League champions Sofapaka were defeated by Bandari FC 2-0. Now, in the 32 round of the FKF Premier League fixture hosted at Moi International Stadium today.
Timu yangu ni kwamba makosa peke yake ni kupoteza mpira, tunashindwa kuumudu ule mpira na kutumia vizuri. Hivyo nafikiri kulikuwa na utulivu tukiwa na mpira kipindi cha pili na kaleta mabao. Sisi nilipochukua hatamu nimesema nitajaribu kurudisha hadhi ya Bandari, na nashukuru Mungu mpaka sasa inaendelea vizuri, sababu ilikuwa nimepata mapigo ya kutosha. Ilikuwa ni kurudisha hadhi na wachezaji kujiamini, na imerudi, nashukuru Mungu.
Today we didn't play football because why? We were not sharp enough to test Bandari defense, especially from the beginning of the game. So there were no threats that could have been there. Only threat that was the delivery of Bensani in the box. You saw Bandari almost they had a own goal, but fantastic goalkeeping from Bandari. We gave a lot of many fouls for Bandari. This is not how I would like my team to play.
Now, Murang'a Seal continued with their intentions to get promoted in the top-tier league FKFPL after thrashing Mwatate United 2-0 in the National Super League fixture played at St. Sebastian Park in Murang'a. Now, Murang'a Seals are currently in the second position with 58 points in the Super Table standing, while Mwatate United is in position 13 with 24 points.
kusema ukweli kwa game ya leo niseme haijakuwa rahisi. Sasa kulingana na timu sasa hii wakipatana na Morangasiri ni kama yani ni finali. Kuna wale wanangangana wanataka kutoka kwa hiyo race. Lakini kulingana na mimi na strategy vile tulikuwa tumepanga nafikiri imeingiana. Sasa ni kufocus hiyo game next nacheza na Naivas na niko away. Mimi kila game na approach sasa ni kama finali. Juu sitaki kuteleza mahali popote. Ukilingana na sasa hii wachezaji nao vile wanajipush inanipea pia morali ya vile wanacheza. Tuna sasa hii ni kuwa lazima tukue pamoja kama timu. Alafu tuongeleshane 1 2 3 ndio tushikane kama timu. Kulingana na mimi sasa hii although niko na injury kiasi, kuna wale wana recover na nafikiria niko na hiyo depth yenye naweza piga rotation ya wachezaji. Kwa hivyo sasa hii mimi nafikiria sina shida na hiyo side nyingine. Wachezaji wako sawa. Ni kusukuma tu mpaka dakika ya mwisho.
Now, Peter Cheruiyot clinched the overall winner award of the cumbersome golf tournament played at the Seafront Mombasa Golf Club course. Now, Cheruiyot carded an excellent 41 stable forward points to claim the win. The tournament was organized by Mombasa-based Akamba golfers, with the competition attracting 108 golfers from the home club and other golf clubs across the country.
And today we had a great day of golf. We celebrated culture. Today it was Kamba culture, but I think it was more than culture. We celebrated friendship among ourselves. We have members from different golf clubs, different parts of the country, and we came together because of friendship. In addition, we're also celebrating our diversity. We are all from diverse backgrounds, and they say that there's unity in diversity.
Thank you very much. My name is Destination in the World. We are IATA certified, meaning that we can get you a
sponsor is Envasis Environmental Consultants Limited.
Right, home. We need to go home. It is past some people's bedtime. Now listen, before I do that, let me just take your feedback here. Monari Francis says, BBI ilishangiliwa hivyo ikaangushwa. Abel Osoro says, very unfortunate that president is forcing Kenyans on houses they didn't ask for. What is the motive behind this? Honorable Prezo, your priorities might be wrong, but my opinion as a Kenyan citizen is here. All right? Yes, and I believe that is all we had for you here. And I do believe that Emmanuel does mean God